Is it a watch? Or is it a spaceship? That is the question. Welcome to the Humble Horologist channel. I'm Anthony, and today we're going to talk about a watch that's gotten a lot of wrist time since I purchased it, the Addiesdive MY-H9. Let's start at the beginning, okay? If you remember, I gave away an Addiesdive watch on January 1st. That watch was an inexpensive one I found while surfing around the different bargain watch sites such as AliExpress. Now, the videos I made attracted the attention of Addiesdive. So I asked them if there was any particular watch of theirs that, should I purchase one, that they would like to see it reviewed. So they sent me a link to their USA-based warehouse and said, take a look and let us know what interests you. Then they offered me a substantial discount should I buy one. So I bought the MY-H9 that I have here with me today. Now, parenthetically, if that could be considered an incentive or sponsorship of this channel by Addiesdive, let me make it perfectly clear that my opinions of the watch I selected are my own and no one else's. So that's how we got here. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed that all the modern automobiles that we drive around look pretty much the same? I bet you have. Sure, there's numerous differences between them if you look closely enough, but if two or three were to pass right by you, speed right by, would there be enough distinctives for you to know which one was made by what company? It used to be that the different automakers prided themselves in originality. Not only could you tell the difference between a Chevrolet and a Ford, but you could tell the difference between the model years of each make with just a glance. Innovation, imagination, originality, daring, beauty, sexiness, revolutionary. These were the descriptive words of the day. But sadly, when it comes to watches, especially those that fall into the budget watch category, there's little originality or imagination or innovation, and the looks are basically that of some other company's popular model, and not always a good one. But that brings me back to the watch of the day, the Addiesdive MY-H9. To me, this is not simply an homage, if at all, but a beautiful, captivating, eye-catching timepiece that looks very little like anything else in my collection. I mean, just look at it. Is that not a good-looking watch? So, what we have is a watch that comes standard with a stainless steel bracelet, but looks even better, in my opinion, on different straps. And we will get into that a little bit more in a moment. But the 40mm case is also 3/16L stainless, has a ceramic unidirectional bezel, and a gently domed sapphire crystal that brings the height to right at 15 millimeters. The lug width is 20 millimeter. The lug to lug is 46 millimeter. There's an unsigned crown, but it is a screw down crown, and in addition to the screw down case back, brings it to a stated 200 meter water resistance. Now let's take an overall look at the dial and bezel. What do you see? Well, Addiesdive calls this watch a 2-in-1 pilot diver. You've got a dive bezel, but you've also got the large Arabic numerals like that of a pilot watch. However, funny thing, usually pilots and airplanes and water don't mix. But remember those old cars? Not the new ones that are all as aerodynamic as possible with no character, but the old ones, like the ones from the 1950s. Back then, cars had curves, chrome, even tail fins. They might have been as aerodynamic as a brick, but they were a joy to behold. And back in those days, people would line up to come see the newest model on the showroom floor. Of course, engines and horsepower were important, but it mattered how something looked. Beauty wasn't just skin deep, but those cars had some really nice skin. When it comes to this Addiesdive, I'm perfectly content with the Seiko NH35 movement that's on the inside, but it's the outside I really enjoy. Getting back to the dial, there's a crisp, serious looking textured surface with printed numerals and minute track, along with a printed logo below the 12 and a simple automatic 200 meter above the 6. You know, the Fotina color with the black is nice too, but it's the hands, in my opinion, that not only add like a little surprising twist, but the copper edges create like a unifying focus to the whole visual package. But if you think that's all, there's more. Back in the 1950s, alien flying saucers, spaceships, and all that stuff from Mars were the object of countless black and white sci-fi and horror movies. When it comes to this watch, if I had nothing else positive to say, I've never had another watch with such a curvy, rounded, speedy, spaceshipy looking case. It reminds me of a little flying saucer on my wrist. Gonna get you. Okay, so are there negatives? Fortunately, yes. As with other budget level watches, fit and finish along with bracelet construction do suffer. It's not that they're bad, it's just that they could be improved. But then that would also, drive up the price. But that being said, I believe with the MY-H9 from Addiesdive, you get what you pay for and then some, simply because of the looks. The twisted lugs alone are worth the price of admission. I mean, just beautiful. However, I just don't think the supplied bracelet complements the overall aesthetic of the watch. On top of that, try putting the bracelet back on after trying on the other straps. The way the solid end links must fit between the lugs makes reinstalling them a absolute pain, especially when that spring bar tool slips and cuts your finger. So keep the bracelet, give me a cool NATO strap, much easier to change out, and the warmer look better complements the color scheme of the watch. Oh, and lest I forget, the lume is really, really good too. So what's my verdict? I love this watch. I don't like the bracelet, but I love the watch. And if you can pick it up for any less than retail, believe me, you will not be disappointed, unless you hate flying saucers and 1950s automotive art. If, on the other hand, you'd like to buy a watch like the one we looked at today, check out the link below. I don't make any commission off of this, but you could potentially save a few dollars. If you want to really help me out, use this QR code to buy me a cup of coffee, since coffee and watches aren't usually free. I appreciate you guys and I care about you, so don't take today for granted. Make sure all things are in order, and remember that watches are replaceable. Time is not.